Hello people of YouTube, my name is Brad, this is my channel Am Orange, and welcome to another ICONX build video. Today we are going to open up and put together the Lighthouse of Alexandria. The lighthouse was built on the island of Pharaoh between 280 and 237 BC. The lighthouse stood between 394 and 449 feet tall and was considered to be one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Now, this being an ICONX model is going to be a bit challenging. The ICONX models are a little larger, and they use that larger size to pack in even more details. So there's a lot to this build. Let's go over to the table, open this up, see what's inside, and start putting it together. Let's see what is inside the Lighthouse of Alexandria ICONX model. I've already cut the tape to make this process a little easier. Pull this little tab out, and we have, looks like 2 sheets taped on. Sometimes forget about this bit of tape they put on here to keep things from moving around, I guess. One sheet. And 2 sheets placed so that the detailed sides are facing away from each other, I guess, so as not to scratch the detail. Move this camera up a little bit here. And then we have instructions, and it looks like I've got more tweezers. Check that out. Add that to the collection. CodeWookie pointed out recently, and I hadn't noticed, that sometimes these tweezers are flat on the end and sometimes they're angled. It kind of varies by kit. We have 2 pieces of paper for the instructions. I'm just going to start off opening up the one with the lighthouse on it. And we'll talk about the instructions briefly, if I can manage to get it open. Now, the ICONX instructions tend to differ slightly from the Metal Earth instructions. There are more sections or more steps to it, but they're really very much the same. For instance, you've got your first page here, and what you usually find with Metal Earth and with the ICONX models, you have your name, logos up top. You have your 360 view. There's the website you can go to, or you can scan this QR code. Got a line drawing of the model, and you've got legends and that type of information here. They've got to create the best connections. And you talk about the blue circle and the green triangle. The blue circle, when you see that in the instructions next to a connection point, it's meaning to insert the tab and fold it over 90 degrees. Green triangle means to insert the tab and twist it 90 degrees. Twisted tabs are more secure generally, but the folded over tabs look neater, so it kind of varies which one they recommend, and you can really do what you want in the end. And here we have like a sample part with a notation of what a tab is, what a slot is, and what a fold line is. A fold line, just a pre-scored or laser cut area. It's not cut all the way through, it's just scored so that part is easier to fold. Then you have tips. If needed, slightly twist tabs to hold parts together, then untwist and bend them down for a nice finish, which is something that a tip that I've been giving for a long time. Sometimes you get parts that are just kind of rickety, and it's not a good place or time to try and fold tabs over. So twist it until you've got enough structure to the model to then clean up and fold those tabs over. Then we have the usual legend here. Part of the legend here, we've got E, that's pointing at an engraved side or section. Parts will have, like, one side will be shiny, one side will be engraved, just telling you which side to face which way. And E's pointing at a non-engraved side or section. And attention point is just, they're trying to get your attention about something in this particular area. Usually it's how things line up. Tabs, slots, or engravings. Make sure things line up a certain way, or else you'll have problems in assembly later. Every now and then there'll be notation with it telling you exactly what to pay attention to. Below that we have one of the sample, or an outline of one of the sheets of parts. I'm trying to get to it here as an example. Is this part, or this sheet right here. You can see this is an outline of this sheet, and all the parts are numbered so that you can find the different parts on the sheet. In the instructions, they'll give you the number. You find them, you clip them out, you put things together. And then I notice we have a G and a D here. So I'm not sure. It looks like they've included letters as well as numbers this time, so that's a bit interesting. If we slide over to page 2, we have another outline of another sheet. Below that, we start the assembly steps with step 1. You got part 1 here, and it shows basically the red is showing that you're shaping or curving or folding apart, and this is showing that this is curved into a cone shape. Slide over here, this is indicating these two tabs connect into the slots and fold over, and you end up with this part. You got part 2 here, this is the part, folds up like this, you end up with that, and they connect here with twisted tabs. And you get this part where you're now adding on part 3, which is shaped in this fashion, so this is like a sub-assembly, and connected here, and there's your final part for this step. Then you go down to step 2. You've got the part, shows over here, you've got another part added on, or folded out, excuse me. This is flaps that are folded out. And then you fold this, and you end up with that times 4. So there's 4 pieces of 4 shaped 4 times, and they've labeled that A. A will come in later. You'll see in a later step something labeled as A, and that connects in there. And that's basically what you do. You just go through the different steps. As you get to the bottom of this page, obviously you flip over to the next page and continue with the steps and the sub-assemblies and following along, adding parts in and connecting them together. And you'll see in some places, like here, step 2 and step 3, indicating those pieces in previous steps come together right here. Once you're done with this page, you grab the other piece of paper and continue on until you get to the end and you are done with your model. Let's talk a little bit about tools. The very basics of what you're going to need is a pair of tweezers and some clippers. The tweezers, you can do a lot of bending, shaping, twisting of tabs, folding of things over. The clippers are going to help you get the pieces out of the sheets cleanly and easily by clipping them out instead of trying to bend them out, which can cause damage. I've also supplemented my set with some precision tweezers. I have a couple of pointed ones here. One, I ground the tip down just a little bit to give it a more sturdy tip for tabs and twisting things, and then I have a precision flat set, and between all of these I can do a lot of bending and shaping and twisting. I also strongly recommend some sort of pliers to complement your set. I have some flat nose here that have definite uses. I have some long needle nose pliers for some of the longer pieces, and then I have some curved tips for grabbing things at an angle and bending them over. For shaping a lot of curves and dome shapes and whatnot, you'll see me use an array of 3D printed tools that I've designed that you can find on my Etsy if you're interested. Otherwise, you'll also see me pull out a cheap drill bit set that I have that's not sharp for shaping cylinder shapes, or just look around your house and use objects that you find like dowel rods, pencils, maybe some beads to shape certain things. I have a sculpting set here that I occasionally use, and they have all kinds of different shaped ends on them. Some flat, some angled, some spoon. There's a couple of hooks. They're useful for reaching in and bending and pushing and pulling tabs and shaping parts from the inside. We've talked a little bit about some tools. I've got some basics to get me started. My metal sheets at the ready and instructions are ready to go. Let's start putting this together.
I found I needed to push the twisted tabs out a little to let this bottom part of the statue sit in its place. You make 4 of these pieces in total, then make 4 pieces that more or less mirror it. I decided to fold over the tabs here. I found the twisted tabs make it more difficult to set the upper section in place. I accidentally bent the guy on top. I decided to leave it for now. Didn't want to bend it back and forth too much and break it. I had to use the more pointed tweezers to bend tabs out slightly, then use the slightly thicker tweezers to twist those tabs. There are a lot of things in the build that are done in 4s. This time I decided to attach this inside piece before folding over the sides. I think doing it this way is slightly better as you stand less of a risk of pushing the sides back down and having to fold them again, thus weakening the part. I will skip ahead here to save some time since it's the same thing 2 more times, making a total of 4 identical assemblies. And skip ahead to where we start putting some of these assemblies together. I had some trouble getting all the tabs lined up here. I decided to secure 2 tabs and then continue to work the rest in place. I thought I would take a different approach with the next section by adding one part to the base, then adding the other, rather than attaching the 2 pieces together, then adding them to the base together. That didn't go so well either. Back to the previous method of connecting the parts together first. This time I had better luck lining up the tabs for the last two sections. This was fairly simple. Repeat 3 more times. I needed to bend this section at 90 degrees in the middle, so I thought this would be a good time to try out a bending tool I had printed. It worked well for this. It was not long, however, before I discovered that the bending the middle first was not the best plan, and that for following sections I would not be able to use this tool. I realized how tedious this section is and how I went about it the wrong way. There are a lot of little sections or flaps to fold over at 90 degrees. They are small and a little tough to hold on to. I also found it would have been better to fold these little sections or flaps over before folding the middle part, as the other side keeps getting in the way of folding the outer tabs, or outer sections. There's a lot here, so I'm not going to show folding every little flap over. This time, I'm going to fold over the edges before bending the middle, which means my bending tool will not work here. Ah, good. The hard part is over. Or is it? In this situation, it might have been better to fold the center first, then work on the little flaps. I think I found a nice compromise. I fold up the outer flaps first, then fold the center 90 degrees, and then fold the inner tabs. The other problem I ran into with these parts is that their inner tabs kind of touch each other, making it difficult to get parts 20 and 21 into their place. For the next two assemblies, I didn't fold the center part at a full 90 degrees so that I would leave a little gap when I go to attach the inner parts. Also, I didn't fold up the inner tabs for part 21 until I had attached part 20 and got it secured. Then after everything is connected, finishing that 90-degree bend. Be sure to fold over the tabs in this part so there's room to attach the next part, and also be sure that the two outer tabs are along the outer edge when you place the part. These tabs would not bend in and over flat, but it should be enough to hold the part on. These tabs were tough to bend down without accidentally pushing the part back and forth. I found it useful to push both end tabs inward at the same time to try and prevent the part from moving. Alternatively, because some sections wanted to bend up at the middle, holding the part down firmly as you bend over the end tabs also helped. I actually laughed when I saw this part and what I was supposed to do with it. I was supposed to fold this long, thin part into an octagon shape with straight sides. This very long, thin, easily misshapen part. Well, took my time and somehow I managed to do it.